running a fitness facility was like, how come some clients can come in and work their butt off and
Mm,
not get results? And then I was also asking, how come people can get results, but they can't keep results? So that was like my decade and a half journey to
yeah.
discover why.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards, the podcast dedicated to helping high performers unlock their true potential and cultivate a powerful mindset for success. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, a mindset coach and advocate for healthy high performance. Join me on this transformative journey as we delve into strategies, insights, and inspiring conversations with experts and thriving high performers. Get ready to master your mindset, elevate your performance, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another interview style episode over here on Mindset Mastery with yours truly, Julissa Edwards. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Matt Travis. He is the unstoppable CEO, life coach, a rapid transformation therapy practitioner, and high performance mental fitness coach who runs an online company called The Potential You. He helps CEOs and entrepreneurs create mind, body, business cohesion so they are never stopped again. I loved interviewing Matt. Before I had him on the podcast, we networked and had so much in common. I knew that we would just geek out on a beautiful conversation. I said, let's take it to the podcast. And so we did. And in this one, we actually have a chance to let me be seen in a more vulnerable light because he helps me overcome something that I've struggled with for the past couple of years. So this is an episode you don't want to miss. The same format that I use to overcome this issue is available to you all on this episode. And yeah, you get to see what Matt is amazing at doing. And it's fantastic. So without further ado, enjoy this episode. Matt, thank you for being here today. How do you feel?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me. There's nothing more that I love doing than having amazing conversations with amazing folks like yourself.
Yeah, I always say, like, isn't it the coolest thing in the world that we get to do this for a living? Like,
It,
amazing.
we're the lucky ones.
Yeah, I really believe that. So, and I think today's going to be a testament of that. So, let's get into geeking out. So, Matt, you're all about transformation. You have a
Yeah.
background in fitness. You're now a life coach, and you practice rapid transformation therapy. Can you tell us what that is and how that helps your clients?
Yes. So just to give you, can I give you a backstory of why I started doing that? Because
Sure.
starting back in 2010, you know, running a fitness facility was like, how come some clients can come in and work their butt off and
Mm,
not get results? And then I was also asking, how come people can get results, but they can't keep results? So that was like my decade and a half journey to
yeah.
discover why. Because I'm a why guy. Like I just was like, I need to know why, you know. And any of you that have ever really, really, really tried, everything to make it work in achieving the goal that you want, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in health, fitness, nutrition, weight release, it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
I work with mostly folks in business now. So like it all is the same thing. And it eventually, after after a decade, it led me to rapid transformation therapy. And I started reading just amazing books by, Bruce Lipton, who's a big into the subconscious mind, and following Dr. Joe Dispenza, and Joseph Murphy, and Marissa Peer, and just really learning from them and just so many other amazing folks about how the mind actually works. And the mind
Yeah.
is controlling everything else. that
Mhm.
we're either doing or not doing. And so our job is to work on consciously uh, programming our subconscious mind so that we can actually finally do the things that we want to do or get what we want to get without the resistance that we so often have, which makes it really is what answered the question for me of why do we get results and
Mm.
can't keep them, or why do we not get results even when you're doing all of the things everybody's telling you to do. And just as a coach, I felt so frustrated that I couldn't help these women that I was working with. And I was like, I just care so freaking much about helping people that I needed to know why I was unable to help certain people. And it led me to the
Mm.
subconscious mind. So that is when I fell into this rapid transformation therapy piece. And I researched a bunch of different options. There's so many different routes you can go, folks. Like there's uncountable amount of subconscious reprogramming tools that you you can you can get
Yeah.
certified in and learn from and all this stuff. What ultimately drew me to rapid transformation therapy was it was a Marissa did a fantastic job. She's a brilliant woman and she just did a fantastic job putting a bunch of different modalities together. So she took cognitive behavioral therapy, and
Hypnotherapy.
psychotherapy and
Yeah.
neurolinguistic programming and just all of these other modalities that I've delved into as well. But she put them all
Mm.
together in just such a beautiful way that, and
Mm.
it's delivered through hypnosis and hypnotherapy,
Yeah.
um, but it really, it's like, it just was a beautiful mix of all of them. And that's what makes it so powerful. And it is very well named because we can resolve things in 1 to 3 sessions that it could take you a decade or more and never actually be able to figure out why can't I do this thing, or why no matter what I try, blah 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 blah, like,
Mhm.
and it's
Mhm.
I just I really didn't want people to struggle anymore. I didn't want people to feel, because what happens to a lot of people, and I'm sure many of your audience can relate with this, is like you're doing so much. It's not for the lack of
Mhm.
doing, folks. You're
It's a
working your
lot of
butt off,
effort.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of effort. And the thing
Mhm.
is that when it doesn't work, you start to look at yourself and we start to becoming very critical of ourselves, and we
Yep.
start blaming ourselves, and we're like, what's wrong with me, what,
Mhm.
all the something must be wrong with me. And I'm here to tell you, folks, please 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 hear me when I say this. There is nothing wrong with you. The subconscious is just doing what it was designed to do. It's designed to keep you in the safe, familiar, predictable, and certain. It's
Mhm.
designed to make sure that you don't die. Like it's
Yep.
actually really good. And back in the day, I mean like a long, long, long time ago, it was really important because it allowed us to, be consciously aware of the fear and the issues in our environment, like lions, tigers, bears, other tribes trying to attack
Yeah.
us, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it just kind
Yeah.
of kept us in that space of
Safety.
safety. Yeah. So it's
Mhm.
really just chasing safety, folks. And our job is to
Mm.
program it in a way that allows us to feel safe getting the results we want.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully said. So, yeah, I remember when I went to my first RTT training, I was like, "Whoa." I was just blown. I loved it. And I'm going to be super
Yeah.
honest from like a therapist point of view. Um, at this time when I took my first training in RTT, I was still a traditional therapist. And I
Mm.
remember I was in a room with a bunch of other therapists getting their CEUs, continuing ed. And I was like, I was so in love. And this is just like who I am as a person. I remember going to the instructor after the seminar and being like, I want to do what you do. I want to
Yeah.
teach this to other therapists
Yeah.
because it's life changing. And at the same time, there was a lot of therapists in the room feeling very, very insecure.
Yes.
Can you guess why?
Well, it's probably an enoughness issue. They don't believe, they either don't feel worthy, capable, or confident. enough, would be my
Well,
guess.
it was the whole construct, and I'm just being super real here. It was the
Yeah.
whole idea that like we could really change somebody's life in 3 sessions.
Yes.
And
Totally.
that completely threw away what happens in traditional therapy.
Yeah. which is which is the fear of the unknown. It's fear of, right, and then they're like, well, how do I package this, and how do I deliver this, and can I charge the same, and blah blah. It turns your
Hmm.
world upside down. I mean,
Yep.
it did for me. It made me see things and understand how humans are, and I understand, and actually no, I know things that most people don't know because I've seen it with my own eyes and I've heard it with my ears from these folks. And the stuff you learn, it blows your mind, blows your
Hmm.
mind. And it
Hmm.
and it made me realize, like, I wasn't wrong when I started this pursuit of figuring out how do I help people get results and keep results.
Yeah, yeah. Your North Star was always in alignment, in a good
Yeah,
place of like, I just want to help people. And it's not scary when we find the answer. It's
yeah, yeah,
fantastic when we find the answer, you
absolutely.
know? So okay, beautiful. So you come from fitness, you had this big thing of like, I want the $1 million question, like, how come people are working really hard and not getting results? And then how come some people are getting the results, but they're not able to maintain it? And so what I'm hearing in all of this, and also learning, like knowing what we know about RTT, rapid transformation therapy, is that we weren't feeling safe
Yeah.
in the body.
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting because after doing over 500 sessions, like, I've learned that it really falls into those categories, right? It falls into, I think it kind of, there's two different camps. It's like a lot of times people's issues stem from like self-love, self-worth stuff, right? Like, I'm worthy of getting this thing. Some people don't feel worthy, or or it's capability and confidence. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's just use weight release for an example,
Mhm.
because that's kind of the world I started in. Um, a lot of this was like the big aha for me when I realized why a lot of the women I was working with weren't releasing. They were eating
Mhm.
perfectly, they were exercising, all of this stuff, but their subconscious mind was like, hey, the last time uh we were fit or skinny, we were unsafe. It was unsafe to be that way. And
I
because there's a chance that they may have had, okay, and this isn't everybody, folks, just so
Yeah.
everybody's clear, but
Yeah,
I've had
yeah.
a lot of people who had physical, mental, sexual, emotional abuse, and therefore their body created a protective shell. It created a shell that makes them feel safer. And also, it makes it so, ironically, they feel less seen. Like, they're not going to be
Mhm.
attracted to me. They don't want to be near me, because I now, it's almost like, especially with a lot of the folks that I'd worked with that had sexual trauma,
Mhm.
it was like, if I just gain all, like, their mind does all this. Their mind's like, hey,
Mhm.
let's put on the weight so then people won't come near me, and I can
Yeah.
hide, right? So it's dark stuff, folks. I'm going to be real with you.
I mean,
It gets very dark sometimes, but our job as RTT professionals is to bring to help them work through this stuff and do the healing stuff, and finally see, bring some light to the darkness.
yeah, so wholeheartedly agree. And it's super common that for sexual trauma, right? That we do things to try to protect ourselves, and sometimes that does mean staying in a bigger body, right?
Yes.
But it can also mean for things that are not as traumatic. Like I know for me personally, this feeling of unsafety going back, I used to be the go hard at the gym, super like athletic all of my years of, growing up. It
Yeah.
took a lot of effort
Mm.
for me to be in that kind of let's say like that body weight, right? That type of
Yeah.
athleticism. And
Yeah.
I know for a fact the reason why I struggle with weight loss these days is because my brain is negating. It's like that place is not safe for me. I was starving all the time. I was
Yep.
counting macros, obsessively, and I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, I got the body that I wanted at that age and at that time, but my body right now is like, that doesn't feel safe.
totally.
I don't want to have to go back to that. So
Yeah,
the spectrum for all things like sexual trauma, all of it, but at the root of
100%.
most problems, it's that we don't feel safe.
Totally. 100,000%. And until you, and of course, a lot of us, we use language that also makes us feel unsafe. Unconsciously, we do this, right? So, for example, you may have noticed I say weight release. So I don't say
Mm,
weight loss because if you think about the word loss, any other time you've lost something in your life, it's usually a bad thing to the mind,
negative.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like you lose in Vegas, we're in trouble. If you lose your keys, you can't drive your car. If you lose a loved one, it's devastating a lot of the times. So a lot of if we tell our mind, I want to lose this thing, it's like, no, you don't. Like that's not safe. You
Mm,
shouldn't do this. And if we think about from I mean, we could totally go down the nutritional rabbit hole, but from a survival standpoint, especially before winter would come, gaining weight was important so that we could, go
mm,
through
mhm,
winter and
mhm.
go through that fasting period and survive. So
Yeah,
it's a, it makes me love the human body because of how amazing it is.
intelligent. Yeah.
Intelligent.
Mhm,
It's literally
mhm,
trying to save your life. And so
mhm,
when we start to hate on it, when we start to be like, I hate the way I look, I hate this, I hate, like, your body is loving on you so much that it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to
mhm.
protect you. And we just need to work together with it to ensure that it feels safe, it knows it's safe, and it will release as long as we, love on it the way it needs to be loved on.
Yeah, yeah, love that. Okay, so we have all this beautiful background and training, and then you shifted from helping mothers lose weight or women lose weight to then working with entrepreneurs and kind of combined it all together. Yes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a very interesting thing. So I shut my fitness facility down in 2016, went into the online world, very different place. You
Hmm.
and I invested a bunch of time, money, energy, and effort into mentors and coaches that helped me understand how the online world works because it is
Hmm.
different than the brick and mortar.
Very
Um,
different.
very different. And I was also trying to wrap my head around, well, how do I do fitness and nutrition and that online? And it was interesting because from 2016 to 2017, a lot of these women, it was mostly women and moms coming to me to release weight. Um, and most of them were asking more for the nutrition and mindset stuff than the fitness stuff. So I
Mm,
started to kind of let that go and really heavily lean into that side of things. So I basically launched late 2017, 2018, and I started just helping women online do these, this have these mind and body transformations.
mm,
And when you're in the online world, you just start to meet other online entrepreneurs. You start to meet other amazing people. And
mhm.
just so everybody's clear, like I do work with men, but it's 99% women. So it's
Yeah,
not that I won't work with men, it's just that's who was coming to me. So I
yeah.
just started marketing that way and going that route. So it was around 2019, 2020. I looked at my caseload and I was like, man, 75% of my clients are women and mom entrepreneurs. I was like, what if I just, and I had built my business up to, a six-figure business. And I was like, I wonder if they would just want to know how I did that, like how I, you know, built this health business online and was doing it well and successfully. I'm wondering if I just
Mhm,
offered it to them. And I threw it out to the
mhm,
group and they were like, absolutely.
mhm.
Like, this is amazing. I can learn how to build my business and make money and release all the weight. Like, this
Yeah.
is a dream come true. And it really stemmed from one of the women I came across. She said, Matt, how do I have it all? And that made me be like, let me get back to you. I'm gonna work on something. So that's when I just started to offer that as just an extra value add-on piece in 2019, 2020. I was like, I'm just gonna just show them what I'm doing. And they loved it. I actually really loved that type of person, because most women and mom entrepreneurs, they are growth minded, they understand investment, they understand going all in, they're ready, they're the four things I need someone to be in order to help them. They are ready, they're willing, they're committed, and they're invested. So if they are
Mhm.
those four things, I'm like, I can help these people. And I just fell in love with working with that individual, that person that was a conscious creator, an empowered entrepreneur, optimistic overcomer. And I helped them become the CEO of their life.
Optimistic overcomer. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I just started to help those folks, and it shifted. And now it's kind of like flipped completely on the other side. And now the front end is I work and I help people with their businesses, and I make sure that they don't lose their health and well-being in mind while they're doing that. So that's really like how the shift happened, and how everything evolved to the point it is now. But I really just felt, as many times as business coaches would tell me, you can't you can't do mind body business transformations for people. You can't do that, right? And any of you entrepreneurs out there know, they make you pick one. And every part of me, every ounce of me, all of my higher self, everything was telling me that you're working with human beings. You're working with human beings here, right? Even though you're a business owner, right? And I'm helping your business, you yourself are a human being. And if your mind is not, if you're not thinking correctly, it's and your body is not healthy enough to produce, right? So your mind is controlling your body, and your body is building your business. So we need to make sure that they all are cohesively working together to make this happen with so much more ease and flow.
Mhm.
And when we neglect one, it affects the other two. So I said,
Mhm.
why not be able to just help people with all three? Now, sometimes
Absolutely.
people just come in for just one, and that's fine, but they realize that you can't separate. Like you can't get outside of your body yet. Maybe AI will figure out how to make that possible. But at this moment in time, it's our mind, our body, and our business is all working together. So I'm here to make sure that it does in the best, most optimal way possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I feel like our businesses are an extension of our souls,
Yeah,
and so it's all connected.
for sure.
Um, I want to talk about, because I think you have a beautiful story of how you listened to your heart, you were intuitive, and you just, because your North Star was always in a place of how can I help? How can I help? It led you down different paths. And there's something to be said about just trusting the process.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship is a lot about figuring it out,
Totally.
tweaking, changing little things here and there, seeing what works, sometimes different audiences, like,
Yeah.
but in your story, it was all beautifully, like it all kind of came, and you pivoted as you saw fit, where there was a need, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, literally, when people open up businesses, like you're solving some type of need in the world,
Bingo. Yep.
right? And so I think it's really beautiful to talk about that a little bit deeper, because I know that people that are on their business journeys, or whether they're just beginning, or maybe down the line, and they have something really, really grand, and then their heart or life is pulling them elsewhere. Like, was it an easy switch for you to just say, I'm going to close my brick and mortar and just go online?
No. It was scary, and it was uh I want to say something that I think might help everybody, because while I was doing all of this, folks, I was a full-time physical education teacher for kindergarten through third graders. Um, lot of fun with that. lots of fun. And it taught me how to be a really patient, loving,
Mm,
very well masculine and feminine male,
balance.
and
Yeah.
really
Okay.
like stand for kids, and also how to take really complicated ideas and make them very digestible. So that was one of the
Mm,
I'm so grateful to have had that experience where now I can make really difficult ideas for some people really understandable, and market and sell them in that way. Um, but I was building my fitness facility from 2010 to 2016 and teaching full time, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., going 3:30 to 8 p.m. And I was just burning the candle at all ends. And any of you that have ever gotten stuck in the hustle and grind culture, right?
yep.
Like it's like, you know, I was big into I actually really like Eric Thomas, but he's the guy that like if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Like that was the whole
Mm,
thing. And like and you know,
we honor
I
it.
mean,
It was,
yeah. There, and for some people, they need to hear that, folks. But for me, it
Yeah.
was just pushing on a subconscious program that I had already had running, which was my whole 20s was like, go big or go home. It was like, it was it was trying to do more and create more in my external environment so that I could feel enough on the inside. I was chasing safety and enoughness.
Yep. Hmm.
Probably, I didn't wake up to the fact that I was doing that until I was about 35 years old. So, um,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us are trying to create something on the outside so we can feel a certain way on the
Whole
inside, right?
and safe.
And
Yep.
yeah, and I was burning the candle at all ends. And what happened to me with my fitness facility is around 2013, I just started 2012, 2013, I just started getting sinus infections because stress
Mm,
and life was catching up with me, trying to
sure.
work two full-time things and make it all grow and build. And it was my first endeavor into the entrepreneur world. And I was just trying to figure it all out. And doctors have one hammer and one nail when it comes to sinus infections. They give you antibiotics, and I took them, and I own every 100% take ownership of all that, and yet I took too many, and over a 2 year span of having sinus infections and back and forth, and eventually my gut health completely got destroyed. And I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'4", 205, and I dropped down to 165 in a 3 month time frame.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but it unlocked a door for me that I didn't actually know about, which actually helped me become a better health coach later on because I'm one of those people when I have a problem, I'll like throw myself into like the science and understand, like I'll just research it to no end. So I spent about 100,000 hours just researching the gut health, microbiome, gastrointestinal function, and all of that stuff. And I started to realize the massive connection between gut health and brain health and mental health, because it was
Yep.
so wild what happened to me. Here I was a really like level-headed dude, uh very calm, super patient, very flexible. And all of a sudden, when my health hit the fritz and my gut health got destroyed, I was literally like on an emotional roller coaster, super highs, super lows. I felt anxiety, depression, panic attacks. I never had, uh, I mean, maybe when I was younger with the ADHD stuff and depression, but I hadn't had it to this extreme. And I started to see the connection between gut health and mental health. And I started to
Hmm.
see that there's this huge, I mean, there's actually an axis, folks. There's an axis between gut and brain health, but what we're eating and how we're moving and how we're sleeping and all these things are affecting what we get, like what is happening in our life. And that's also, if you ask me, like that's another big reason why I can't just like disregard the body when I'm helping someone in business, because I know their mental capacity is only as good as their gut health. Like if their
Yeah.
gut health isn't right, then it's going to be very hard, and their hormones are all over the place, and it's just it makes it's like driving a car with the parking brake on. It makes it so much harder to build a successful business and all the pieces of the puzzle that you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to sacrifice their health and well-being like I did when I was running my fitness facility, ironically, running a running
Mm-hmm.
a health facility. If I'm destroying my health, so many other people are doing this too. And it's like we just need to take a good look at this and understand that like you're not alone and I've gone through all of this so that I can help people not have to do this to themselves. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know I got off track and I didn't answer your question, I'm sure,
That's okay.
but I think that was
Yeah.
important to preface that it's like this is kind of like how it was about, how did we go? Was it hard to go from in person
I mean, mm-hmm.
to online? I'll say it was, but it was the right thing to do because at that point, because my health fell apart, all these things, it was stressing my wife out. We had just had our first son in 2013. We were trying to have another child. We ended up having two miscarriages in that time frame, and IVF failed, and all this stuff was
Mm,
falling apart.
lots of
And
stress.
it was just like it was like I think that this business is killing me. Like that was the feeling.
Mm,
we're quote unquote successful. We're enough on the outside, but on
yep.
the inside I'm miserable and I'm not actually enjoying this anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
but so from that stance, it was a breath of fresh air to close that and lean into the online world. But I also it's sad because you love all of these people. I mean, I have members that were with me for half a decade, and they're just like family at that point. And it was just
Mm,
like I just knew I needed to do the right thing for me and my family, and going online was the best decision I had ever made. Period. I wouldn't ever change that because it allowed me to evolve to the human being that I am now. So I think a lot of people stop the evolution because of their fear of chasing safety, right? They're chasing that safe, familiar, predictable, and certain.
yeah. There's a lot of pieces to this. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit. So I love the journey. And I think what I want people to take away from it is that, sometimes in life you'll get little inklings or droppings, if you're super spiritual, from the universe, from God, whatever you believe in a path that you could potentially go down.
Yeah,
It's like, here's a chance to do something different. And, your work is all about, like it's a holistic health, right? So gut health and mindset and all of that. And yeah, someone who tends to have a little bit more anxiety and more anxious thoughts, usually their gut health is directly aligned,
bingo.
right? There's more nervousness there. There's more things that have happened in the body that allow it to be easier for them to jump into an anxious thought than someone who is, let's just say, a little bit more grounded more often than not, even through adversities,
Yeah,
right? And so it doesn't mean that humans will never face fear again. That's a healthy human emotion.
totally.
It's just a matter of how we navigate that fear and how we can sit and be a little bit more observant and ask ourselves, like, well, what is the best next move? So I go back to your North Star being to help other people.
Yep,
And,
always.
you know, it leading you down the path of like, well, this isn't working. And entrepreneurship, leadership comes with a lot of failures, right? Like, this isn't
Absolutely.
working. It was working for a time. I know I helped a lot of people, and that's fantastic. And now I'm seeing a bigger problem here, that there's it's not sustainable for a lot of people, or a
Yep.
lot of people are working their butts off and they're not seeing any results, right? So I bring that up because, like, even before I became a coach, when I was just a traditional therapist, it just so happened that every person that I would speak to would either start a business or start a side hustle. And so then for me, I think what's really good about individuals that take risk is curiosity,
Mm,
right? So I was just curious. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Like, everyone that I speak to, I end up empowering in some way, shape, or form. And not just empowering, but talking to them long enough that they're able to really see that they're not happy. in what they're
Yeah.
doing in their day-to-day life, and that there could be something else that would bring more happiness and joy to their lives, right? And to
Totally.
me, that was just therapy. I was like, well, I'm just helping you become happy. That's what a therapist, one of the
Yeah.
goals, like,
Yeah.
you know, and but it just so happened. And for me, that's like it was like a little inkling. It was like, oh, well, maybe my life trajectory is leaning a little in a different lane than what I originally thought was going to be my life as a therapist,
Yeah.
And so there too, I went from brick and mortar to online coaching,
Yeah.
right? And that was a big, scary jump, all the things, but it was with the alignment of like, one, this excites me. And if I'm going to be at a
Totally.
job forever, I need to do something that excites me and gives me passion,
Exactly.
and also that I'm naturally good at. Being super humble when I say that, but like there's things that I can force myself into, like, can I study anything and regurgitate it? Sure. But what
Yeah.
am I actually passionate about? What do I embody with a little bit of ease?
Totally.
Right? What comes kind of naturally to me, and can I help other people that want to go on that same path with me? And for me, just personally, that was a big difference between a therapist and a coach at that point in my career of like, I get to fully embody in this one specific thing that I want to help people in.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm bringing all that up because people that listen to the podcast come here for its mindset mastery. It's how do we master our mindset, right? And we're talking that it's a holistic practice. There are many
Totally.
things involved in mastering your mindset. So I want to hear your insight on, in my practice, of helping people. It usually always comes down to, I don't feel safe, which is why I
Mm.
can't do X thing, right?
Yep.
So let's say somebody does want to pivot in their life and do something different, or introduce a new, I don't know, a diet or a way of thinking, something new.
Yeah.
Anything that is new, the ego's like, alert, alert, alert. This is not safe. This is different. It's not in our regular homeostasis, whether our homeostasis is healthy or not, it's different, right? And so there's this, we have to calm the nervous system in
Totally.
order to get us on this new path that would usually, more likely than not, give us greater success, happiness, all the things that we're searching for,
Totally.
right? So in your trainings of, working with the subconscious mind, what do you do that helps people feel more safe in their bodies to do scary and or new things?
Yeah, I think I like to speak from two routes with this. Number one, I read an awesome book called Who Not How. And it really helped me see that like a lot of times we're trying to figure out, how do I do this thing? Like, how do I make these scary jumps? How do I do all this stuff? Rather than thinking like, who can actually help me get there quicker, right? Or easier. And a lot of times our mind is waiting for confirmation that this is actually possible for me to do this. So I can, it is possible, right? I always go back to
Mm-hmm.
the Roger Bannister story of the 4 minute mile. And he had to be the first person to run the 4 minute mile. And then within that same year, I think it was like 23 other people did it as well. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's really like when you start to surround yourself with other people that are doing this type of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
and mentors and coaches and consultants and just like all these people, right? Just like good people. That's how you and I met. Like we met in a
Mm-hmm.
community of other entrepreneurs, and it's like when you surround yourself with people that can also see your idea and like see the shift and not like put you down, because a lot of the world will tell you that you're crazy and that like you shouldn't do it. So then it makes that fear and this the uncertainty of like, should I do this? People are like, no, you shouldn't do that, because
Mm-hmm. Their
they're
own
kind of
fears.
in, yeah, they're in their own beliefs and fears, and they're gonna just put that on you unconsciously. It's all unconscious, folks. So it's our job to put ourselves in a new environment. It's kind of like when a fish gets sick, we don't bring them to a fish doctor, we change the water. So it's step one is just
Mm-hmm.
is finding that new environment for yourself that's going to empower your new way of thinking, the new visions that you have for your life, and surround yourself with people that totally love and support you. And that that's a big scary shift, because I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, so many people tell me that like they have a family member or a friend or a spouse or whatever that just doesn't support them. And that makes it the feeling unsafety even more. Um, so that's one part of it, right? To feel safer, we have a better, safer environment, a more optimized environment with
Mm,
better people that support us. And
mhm,
then number two, on the other side of this, I just love people to start at the pure basics of language because I love when I read Florence Scovel Shinn and she said, "Your word is your wand," it just clicked for my brain. And I was like, the way that we are writing the script of our life through our language, through our words. They are creating everything that's going on for us. And I mean, most of my job is catching my clients' automatic negative thought stories, just the things that are just coming out. I call them ants. So
mm,
it's their automatic negative thought stories. They come out and I'm like, "Hey, did you notice you have that you said this thing?" And they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't,"
mm,
So it's just catching that language and helping you see what you're actually what you're thinking and what your unconscious beliefs might be. So if they never did any RTT with either of us, it's just starting at the level of what is the language that I'm using and really just starting writing this stuff down. Capture your ants, folks, and just start to get them in your notes section of your phone, on paper, whatever it is, so that it's out of your head so you can actually do something with it. Like if you leave them
mm.
in there, you're on a battlefield where you're at the disadvantage in your head. But when you get it out of your head, then you can actually
See
consciously
it.
do something about it, right? You could see it.
Mhm,
It's like introducing the elephant into the room, right? It's like I
mhm,
can see this now. And
mhm,
then after that, we can create a whole new script and storyline for your life. Like we can start to actually cross that stuff out and put new language and new words in place, the ones that you want to be feeding, right? I always say our our conscious mind is marketing to our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is unconsciously selling us on what we do or don't do every single day. So it's like,
mm,
if you think of it that way, it's like we just need to market better. Like we need to get our conscious mind to be better at marketing to our subconscious mind so that our subconscious mind just starts to do what we want to get us to do what we want to do and how we want to
mm.
live and how we want to be. Um,
And how do you get people to better market to their subconscious mind?
Great question. So how do we market better? Number one, we got to, like I said, we got to capture our ants, folks. Okay. So we need to know how you're currently marketing. All right. If we don't know how
Mhm,
you're currently marketing, then it's very tricky to change it, right? We got to quote unquote measure it, right? We have to see it. We have to know what it is. We have to have the facts. Okay. So once we get the facts, right, then we can cross it out and then we can start to facilitate a new script. Okay. So we start to market in a different way. I have a particular formula that I teach all of my clients, and it's pretty straightforward, and I think you all will dig it. If you take it and apply it, it will transform your life massively. Okay, so the formula goes like this. I'm going to say it, and then we'll put some stuff into it so you can see how we could use it, and then we'll go from there. But it's basically, thank you for sharing. I
mm,
am, I will, so that 5 4 3 2 1, go take action. So that's the formula. But let's just play one of these out. Okay.
mhm, mhm,
So whenever you get an automatic negative thought story, you can also use this on people. If they're the ones that are telling you things, you can
mhm,
use those words, thank you for sharing. Right? You can say
mhm,
thank you for
mhm,
sharing, right? But I say it out loud to my mind.
mhm,
I'll
mhm,
I'll pull it out of my head, right? So uh let's say someone gets into the, oh, I can't find any clients, there's not enough clients, blah blah blah. Like let's say they get into that we can use that one. Or is there one that
mhm.
you think your audience would have that we can play on?
Um, I think my audience is they're so broad. There are many entrepreneurs, many individuals looking to just better their mindset so they can actually do what they want to do in life. So something's blocking them from, achieving the highest level of happiness, because of perceived limitations.
Can we do this? Can we get vulnerable and use the weight thing that you were saying before? Because I think
Yeah.
yours was it's hard to keep it off for a long period of time. Would you say that's true? Like your thing was like, I worked my butt off. I did all my macros. I did all these things, right? And therefore the belief was it's hard, or the automatic negative thought story. Like what prevents you from keep going with it? Like, what do you think is the automatic negative thought story?
Yeah, I'm down to be vulnerable. To dig deeper, it's that I don't want to put my body in that state of hypervigilance again.
Perfect. Okay. So your mind is like, it's actually acting as like this protective mother, but it's the hypervigilant saboteur, is what it is, right? It's waiting for the left shoe to drop and having to be always on, right? So
Hmm.
when our mind shares that with us, right, we say,
Hmm.
thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And then we want to use the I am, the power of the I am, to solidify something new. So, what's an I am that you could put after that that would feel more empowering and feel better for you?
Mm. Thank you for that thought. I am, I don't know.
This is fun, right? It takes a minute, and I'm so glad we're doing this. Is really
Mhm.
awesome. It's like, well, what am I? Well, I want you, because I could obviously tell you things that I think that you are, right?
Mhm. Oh, just something outside of like what this problem is.
Anything, right? Like you're an
Oh, okay,
empowered
okay,
entrepreneur,
okay.
you're an
Yeah, yeah,
amazing
yeah.
woman,
Okay,
you are
okay.
right? Like whatever you want
Okay,
to put in
okay.
your I am, it's like
Oh, okay.
it's
Understood,
it's
understood.
basically the opposite of whatever this hyper vigilant saboteur version of yourself is. It's
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you
yeah.
want. It's you get to create whatever it is. You
Yeah,
decide.
okay.
So what do you want your I am to be?
Yeah, I am empowering women who, I don't know, loves life, goes slow, teaches people how to do the same, and I lead by example.
Awesome. So I even want it to be something where let's just make it just about you, not anybody else. Because I know you're an amazing helper. You're awesome at it, right? It's I am unstoppable. I am I am amazing. I am
I am resilient.
perfect. Actually, that's a great playoff of the hypervigilance, right? So thank you for sharing. I am resilient. I will. And then we can
I see.
we can insert a new I will with this. This is awesome. I love doing this live because now the people listening are like, oh, I can see how I have to play, I have to put this in.
Mm-hmm.
So the I will is like literally, what are you going to go do that's better than so it's almost focusing on what you will do and what you do want versus what you won't do and what you don't want, right? So what you won't do is get super hyper vigilant about all the macros and all the craziness and be so crazy about it
Mm-hmm.
anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
what do you want to do? What will you do?
Okay, so thank you for that thought. I am resilient. I will. Mm, I want to say like move with ease and flow
Love it.
into
Love
this.
it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we could
Okay.
say, I will do more movement with ease and flow, feed my body
Mm,
the food that nourishes it, and make
mm,
sure I give it the rest and recovery that it truly desires, right? That's an example
mm,
of an I will, right? And hitting the big three of movement, eating, and exercise, or movement, eating, and sleep, right? So it's just kind
mm.
of making this more empowered thing, right? Doesn't that sound so much better than counting your macros?
Yeah, I think this is perfect because okay, this is good because even like we were talking off, record like we still need to take our own medicine in our own blind spots, right? And so,
Totally.
yeah, even though I know that all of it always comes back down to safety, yeah, like I knew why I was so resistant,
Yeah.
but the wording is helpful. So yeah, it's funny because I always also say like, thank you for that thought with love and kindness, but
Mhm.
I wasn't connecting that I can choose to eat nutritiously and move my body without the fearful thought that it's
Yeah.
going to be overwhelming.
Isn't it so cool? So this is just why I start with language patterns because our words are our one. It's like creating our reality. So I find the who, right? So like I said, folks,
Mm,
it's the who, not what, right? So like who can help us get there better, who's a better environment to be around, and then we're doing this formula that it's taken me a decade to make this formula, folks, just so you know. And I've taken a lot of pieces from some of my mentors and like amazing people. So, like the last part of this, when you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you go take action, that's a Mel Robbins thing. She's just so freaking awesome. And she
yeah, I
studied
love that.
the power of the 5 second rule. And I
Hmm.
found that if we can empower our words, right? So, like, let me play this out for you so far. So, thank you for sharing. I am resilient. I will move my body with more ease and flow and nourish my body with the foods that it loves and desires and rest my body because I love and care for it. Right. It's just such a more beautiful, like a line. It just feels better when you say it like that. Like, let me,
Easier.
I could put, I'm going to diet and exercise and I'm going to work really hard and blah, blah. It just feels different, folks. Like, and so the thing that people miss is like our, our subconscious mind's language is focus and feelings, folks.
Mm,
So its language is feelings. So when you have a focus that makes you feel a certain way, it's going to capture that and it's going to try to make sure you either get more or less of that thing, right? If it makes you feel bad, it's going to try to move you away from it. If it makes you feel good, it's going to make you move towards it. It's just how our subconscious is designed to work. So we need to kind of trick it. I guess you need to tell it
mm.
what you want versus
I
what you
better
don't want.
understand the marketing aspect now. Like I was painting in my mind that going hard in the paint was just not it.
Yeah,
And that is for me not it. Like I don't want that, but I can still
yeah,
have health and fitness
absolutely.
and probably still put this, I don't want to say the same effort, maybe, but it won't feel as draining energetically anymore.
Bingo. Because you put a different story to it. It's
Hmm.
it's your stories, folks, that are creating your reality. It's it's the same reason why someone looks at something and they're like, this is so hard. And someone else looks at it and there's like, no problem. Right.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
where I think, if we get down to the basics, that's mindset 101. Right.
Yeah.
It's just the focus, but we don't do it out loud. We're not doing it like this. And I freaking love you, Jill. You're amazing at just going vulnerable on this
Oh, I
podcast.
mean,
This is gonna be
yeah.
transformational for people to listen to. So I
And for me, and now I have a new
yeah,
mindset in how I look at food
yeah,
and fitness. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that's really all. I mean, literally, that's what I spoke about before. Being to me,
yeah,
to be a great coach is to be an embodiment of what you preach.
yeah. I love it. And so there's one more piece to this. So
Okay.
it's the thank you for sharing. I am, I will. And then for people when they first started doing this, I find the so that is helpful. You don't need it forever, but a lot of times people need to know why they're doing it. So the so that is the why, right? Because a lot of people, they really don't want, like, why are you building a business? Why are you, trying to make money? Why are you trying to get healthy? Like, why?
Oh, I
Like,
see. I see.
what is your so that? So
Yeah.
what's your so that?
That's easy. There's just so many. So that I can play with my kids and not be winded, so that I can run this beautiful monster of a business and not be burnt out.
Right.
It's for so many things. Like for me, I know how critical, I mean, all of it is mind, body, and health. Um, and I used to crush the body part so good, and it's been like a
Yeah.
lost identity of mine for so long
Yep.
that yeah, it's just like the missing third piece of like I would love to get this back in here again. So
Yeah.
yeah, shifting the mindset, making it, I desired it to be easier for so long that I was actually self-sabotaging myself in
Yeah.
choosing the wrong things for tricking myself that that was easier.
Yeah.
Um, but no. So I love this. Thank you. So just to reiterate your framework, you collect the ants. What does the A stand for?
Ants is automatic
Automatic
negative
negative thoughts,
thought stories. So it's
thought stories.
basically like to understand the ants in the best way possible, folks. It's when you wake up in the morning, all that crap that comes into your head that's just makes you focus on all the things you don't want, and you're going into reactive mode right away in the day. So I want you to proactively approach life with more ease and flow. And it starts with capturing those ants and then reframing them in this way. And does it take practice, folks? It does. It does. I got to be able to interject this new formula into my life that just makes I have so much more ease and flow than anything else I've ever done. And we just created a beautiful formula for you to be able to, count it down after that, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just go take action. And it just it creates a whole different, it just creates a whole different feel, focus and
Mhm.
feeling to now how do we approach this? And you could do
Yeah.
this with everything, folks. You can do it with anything and everything. And then sometimes, folks, if you don't want to use the formula, just when your mind, serves up crap, you can just say stop it. If you want to use that, that's a short form of this. Stop it
Mhm.
or delete. Right? Like just like I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So, okay. So just to give the framework once again, you collect the ants and then just lay out what was the exact formula that we just put in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's thank you for sharing. So it's four
Mhm.
words. Thank you for sharing. I am, and then you just
One
define your
word.
new, yeah, it's like I am unstoppable. I am limitless. I am amazing. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am
Hmm.
I mean, the list could go on forever, folks. And now you're starting to say, uh, I am
You're
enough,
combating
right?
it right
Yeah,
there, right
yeah,
where it
yeah. You're
stops. Yeah.
instantly creating a new I am because so many people are walking around saying I am and then saying something that they don't want and they just don't know it yet. So it's thank you for
Mm.
sharing. I am, I will,
Mm.
and then
Mhm.
what are you going to go do next? Like, what are you going to do?
Okay.
It's basically what are you going to focus on and what are you going to act on instead of the original automatic negative thought story, right?
Mm.
And that was
I
what
love that.
changed in that for you because it was like it's a no-brainer why your mind was like, I don't we shouldn't do this. Like
Yeah,
can't you
correct.
can see it
And
now.
I
Like,
knew because
yeah,
of
it
all
was
my
just too
training, it's
hard.
like I knew that I didn't feel safe. That was clear, but I
Yeah,
wasn't able to just get over that hump. And
yeah,
let me share this insight too, because I think that when you're on a healing journey, you will be able to master certain things in your life, but there's always that this one area that it's just a little bit harder. So even
yeah,
though we know all the things, it's like for me personally, that was a blind spot for me in my rear
yeah,
view mirror.
yeah,
So thank you for helping me clarify that. That's
absolutely.
super enlightening. Um, I had another thought that escaped me. It'll come back. But yes, I think that formula will be so helpful for everyone listening. Please put it in. When you watch this episode or listen to the episode, put in your I statements, tag both Matt and myself so we can see it in real
Absolutely.
time, people using it, and it'll be fantastic. So we're getting towards the end of the episode, and I always reserve space for vulnerability, ironically. And I always ask the individual that I'm interviewing, what's happening in your, essentially, what's a blind spot in your life at this time?
Yeah, it's fun because I'm working on this with my coach right now. I'm taking on a big endeavor. So anytime we make big moves in our business, right? Something we've never done before, our ants go off the chain, right? Like everything goes
They
wild.
come back.
So
Yeah.
they come back, right? So I'm in the process of building out a summit right now. And for those of you that don't
Mm,
know what a summit is, it's basically I'm bringing together a bunch of speakers. So I'm bringing together a bunch of other people, um, and I have to manage those folks, get all of their speaking stuff, and then drive a bunch of people into this, as well as they need to be responsible for bringing in people as well, to create this massive conglomerate thing. And then on top of it, I'm bringing on another amazing human being from the blocks. His name's Jack, and he's like a virtual game designer, and he's
mm,
helping me create this in a way mild disruption of like the industry and just trying to bring play and fun back. Like that's the phys ed teacher, I think, in me, where I just want this to be
mm,
fun. So this is going to be called Entreprenopoly. So it's basically
I
about
love that.
it's bringing back the gamification, the fun, and the play of building a business, folks. Like getting back to this and learning how to master this game. And it just, I want to bring people back to the nostalgia of what I mean, y'all are going back right now, thinking of the first time you played Monopoly or when, the last time you played it. And it's like the way that you played that game is the way that you're being and the way that you show up in the world, right? And so
Mm,
that's where I just want to bring that back. And I know there's a lot to it, and my brain goes, oh my goodness, you're not good enough to do this, you can't do this, who do you think you are, blah blah blah,
mm,
all that stuff. So just so y'all know, like I don't have to do anything. I get to do this as well, and I get to
mhm.
grow and I get to evolve
I get to
within
grow and I
this,
correct. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't make it any less scary, y'all, because there's plenty of chances for me to get rejected, right? Plenty of chances for me to get rejected. And that's what our mind tries to run away from. And I now just need to reframe that. Thank you for sharing. I am an amazing coach. I'm an
Mhm.
amazing uh, entrepreneur, right? I am a conscious creator. I can do this, right? So I will
So I'm
create this.
unstoppable. If I could
I'm un-
chime in and
yeah,
use your own stuff,
yeah,
because you said
yeah,
not to put titles,
yeah.
right?
I'm
Just like one
unstoppable.
word. I'm
Yep.
unstoppable.
I'm
Yeah.
unstoppable, right? And that's my favorite one. And I also unstoppable, I interchange unstoppable and limitless. Like I love both of those
Mm,
equally. Those are usually what I put there. So I am limitless. I will create something that the industry's never seen, the first
mhm,
gamified summit that makes
mhm.
people really excited to play and learn about how to build their business and create their dreams and make it become a reality so that I just get to live in my dharma and why I'm here. That's what it is. I know I'm on this planet for something so big, and this just will allow me to live out that what I'm here to do. So it just allows me to live out what I'm here to do, which is help people reach their full potential. Five, four, three, two, one. Go take
What's your
action, Matt.
action? What's your action?
So that's a great question. So and when you do this on a smaller scale, you could do this with like every bite-sized piece of your day. So
Mm,
like my first action is just getting all of the speakers and everybody lined up, right? The second action is making sure I can capture all of their information and get it all in there, right?
the
There's a bunch of
logistics.
different actions. So that's what I was working with my coach on, is just like the logistics of like we need to do this, and this to make sure it actually runs, because we are doing it for real. So it does need to run and needs to be organized. And I brought on, and coming back to the who, not the what, I sought out somebody who's done a bunch of summits. So I brought her on, hired her. I brought on an integrator just to make sure that I could make sure it all ran and all that stuff. And like I said, I brought on Jack because he's the man and he knows about how to create this virtual game uh, experience. And so, yeah, when it
I love
seems
that.
scary, folks, you can lean into it and make it more fun and less scary.
Just make it more digestible. I think with what we've learned with all of our conversations and both examples is that your brain will make up a lot of scenarios when there's something new or bigger or more expansive that it might be taking on. And
Definitely.
as leaders, it's our job to do it anyway, but in a
Yep.
nice way that it makes us feel safe. And so we're healing in real time when
Totally.
we have the negative thoughts and we're overcoming them. And yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt. We've learned so much in this conversation. Um, all the links will be in our show notes, but what is the easiest way for people to contact you?
They can connect with me on any social platform at the potential you. It's the potential dash, then the letter U, and then they can always connect with me at matt at the potentialyou.com with email.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you, Matt. This was a great conversation. I hope everyone had their pens and papers, and if not, it's worth a re-listen for all the good notes and gems. So thank you for your time, Matt.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into Mindset Mastery with Julissa Edwards. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to receive future episodes packed with valuable insights. Remember to follow us on social media at thehealthy.highperformer for more inspiration, tips, and updates. If you found this episode helpful, we'd appreciate it if you could share it with your network and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us as we continue to empower high performers like you. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset and thriving as a healthy high performer.